All right, dude, what's happening? We got a video on review today on the Urban EDC Supply Vox F5.5. Lots of name going on there. This is the brown micarta M390 exclusive. Currently, unfortunately, sold out in Urban EDC Supply, but I would make sure you sign up for email alerts for more, another drop coming soon. These are priced at $195, which is insane for how good of a knife this is. Seriously. And these came out, I think, the end of 2020. I got mine this year, so this is like one of my first knife purchases of 2021. And I did an unboxing video you guys saw. I've been carrying this pretty much straight for the last week and a half and using it quite often, so I thought I could get a full review on the knife now. So let's go over some basic specs real quick. Blade length is 2.7 inches, blade thickness is 0.15. It's pretty thick blade stock. Your handle thickness is 0.46, so pretty thin, which I like. Overall length is 7 inches, and your close length is roughly 4 inches. This is actually a 3-inch blade, but because of the choil, they're counting that as 2.7. So 4-inch blade, 4-inch handle, 3-inch blade, good size. Width is 1.3 centimeters. That is measuring from here to here, and weight is 2.2 ounces, which let me confirm with my scale what I'm getting. I need 3.2 ounces. 3.1, 3.2. I think they may have that listed. Maybe it's because I'm on this mat. Let's take that out of the way. Zero this again. Yeah, I'm not getting nowhere near 2.2, so I think they have the wrong weight. I'm getting 3.1 ounces. That's accurate. The scale's usually pretty spot on. So, their measurement might be a little off. It's not as light as it says it is. 3 ounces is still a great size for EDC. So, yeah. Anyway, let's do some size comparisons of other knives that are smaller, that are similar in size. The Benchmade 945 Mini Osborne is a good comparison there. The Civivi Pintail is a really good size comparison. Very, very similar in size. And how about the Benchmade Bug Out, which is going to be bigger. I did find my Bug Out, by the way. I was just pretty excited to find that. I lost it for a little bit. So there's some size comparisons of similar knives for your comparisons. I like that. I think that's really important to do in videos because a lot of times when I'm looking at knives, the measurements can be deceptive, and so I like comparing it to commonly owned knives, so for the sake of that. Now, I have medium-sized hands or a medium-sized glove. That's only important because, if you have larger hands, this knife may not work. You may have to be forced to choke up on the choil. You could actually use this very easily with larger hands, but you're gonna have to be up in this grip. If you have, similar sized hands to me, you can see I get all 4 fingers on there with a little bit to spare. It's actually a perfect size knife for me. I really enjoy the size of this knife. I like having the choil for choking up for fine detail work. I also like the placement of the jimping. That's one of my favorite features, is Vox always does such a great, he just understands knives so well. A lot of times when people do jimping, they put it too far back. It's like they just throw it on there because people want jimping, but it's like when your hand lands there, you don't want it back here, because where does it land? It lands there, right? Right on that jimping. Or if you want to use like a very fine detailed type grip, that puts your index finger up here. That gives you a lot of control over the knife, and the jimping's right there. Even if when you choke up in this position, guess where your finger lands? The jimping. It's perfectly placed jimping. Absolutely well thought out. Too many knife companies like this Civivi, they always put it on the thumb ramp, which works for some people's grips, not everyone's. On this knife, I actually find myself, I use this flat up here, no jimping there. I'd love to see the jimping actually be there because that's where your thumb lands. So this is perfectly executed. Also some jimping on the back spacer, which is titanium. Material-wise, M390 blade steel, brown micarta. I also believe they did a green micarta maybe. It does have a full titanium version as well. Flipping the knife over, you do have a nice deep carry pocket clip, which works very well. It covers, you have very, very little sticking out of your pocket, so it works really well for that. And the micarta is so well done. Now mine is a little darker just because it's from use from my oils in my hands, right? I haven't oiled it or anything. One thing I will say, like the quality of micarta can vary from knife to knife. So if you look at this Saviti, it's a budget knife. It's under $100. It's like 80 some dollars. The micarta is kind of just there. It's like, it doesn't take any patina. It doesn't, because I think they like pre-oil it, and I don't know if they coat it with something that doesn't allow your hands to get in there. It doesn't change the color. This is the color it always came with. This has taken on a lot of character. It's gotten, you know, some individual unique patina, which I love about micarta. So yes, they are using micarta on this knife, but it's not really, I mean, it is micarta, but it's not as high quality of micarta as, or maybe this is just more raw. I don't know. I like that you can kind of give it your own patina. That's one thing I love about micarta. So very well done on this. Price point on this is ridiculous. $195 for the fit and finish. It is made overseas, but it's made by Riot Knives. So it's made in the top of Chinese manufacturing. The liner is pretty thin, but it works really well. And what's awesome is you would never know this, but there is actually an inset liner inside of this micarta scale. If you look at it from this angle, let's see if I can get this. Let me just bring it up to the camera a little bit better. If you look at it from this angle, you think that's just a micarta scale, and then there's just a liner on this side. There's actually a nested inset liner that's so thin that it sits flush with the inside of the micarta, and it's so perfectly done. It's so well done. That's one of my favorite design features of this knife. It is so well executed by Riot. I think only they could pull that off because it's such a thin liner, but it gives it a little more strength and stability by doing that than just having the micarta scale. So another big win there. So I'm gonna roll in some footage now of some cutting with this. Now, before I actually do that, let me measure the thickness behind the edge. I already talked about the blade stock. It has thick blade stock, but it's thin behind the edge, very thin. No, that can't be right. 10 thousandths. Actually, I think it is pretty close to that. I'm getting 12 thousandths, 12.5. 12.5 thousandths behind the edge on a production knife is ridiculous. That is awesome. I love seeing that. You'll see it go through media, like cardboard especially, like so easily, just little pressure. I would say cardboard's a good median. Everyone cuts boxes in their life, even if that's all you do for your EDC is open up Amazon boxes, or, you know, your wife wants you to take all your knife boxes and recycle them, so you got to cut them down for your recycle bin. That's what majority of people use their knives for, right? Those are very common media. So I did cardboard, of course. I did some wood, and I do the wood more to test the ergos of the knife because it really gives you different grips and some pressure, and you're really putting pressure on the knife. Cutting cardboard doesn't really test ergos, in my opinion. Then I did some zip ties because it's another common thing that we all may run into in our daily life. So let me roll in that footage, and then we will finish up the video. Hammer grip feels good. Let's try the saber, the jimping up here. I'm gonna choke up on the choy a little bit. Yeah, feels really good. It's actually a really nice way to cut, and you get a lot of control out of the blade this way. No hot spots at all in either grip. And you can even use this method here to get really a lot of control on your blade. I'd probably use this grip more for like food prep, but you can do it. Let's try some zip ties. So I cut zip ties, I carve wood, And like that cardboard, and I feel like that's the most common media that we're cutting through. When I say we, I say majority of knife carriers out there. Your EDC might be different, and you might have a certain job that requires you to do more, but I'd say these are pretty common things. These zip ties are sometimes tough to get through. You can see it's, there we go, got it. I have processed a lot of cardboard on this edge, and I have not sharpened it. It's the factory edge. But it still shaves arm hair. No hot spots, no nothing. Nice thin blade stock. Excuse me, not thin blade stock, thin behind the edge. Very thick blade stock, which comparing these two knives, the Civivi has a lot thinner blade stock. They go through the cardboard about the same, and they carve wood about the same. Honestly, they're about the same. It's the thick blade stock is not necessarily a hindrance as long as the grind is thin, which on both knives these are. This one's got a much taller blade, so it's easier to thin out that grind. Where on this, you have less blade to work with, but it's very thin behind the edge as well. So both really good slicers and just processors of all types of media that we run into with our EDC knives. All right, guys, so I did a ton of, besides the testing I filmed, I did a lot of cardboard processes. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw this mountain of boxes I broke down with this knife. And this is the factory edge. We're just gonna see how sharp it still is. Yeah, it's actually not very sharp anymore. It's catching on this paper. Now, I haven't stropped it recently, actually. I have stropped it, but I haven't stropped it since doing the wood carving, which is gonna dull your knife pretty good. And the cardboard and the zip ties. But it's still cutting computer paper. It's snagging. It needs a good strop, possibly a new edge. Probably not. I could probably strop it back to be just fine. And that's, I think, typical M390 performance. M390 is good steel. It's definitely not like way high edge retention that people kind of thought it was, in my opinion. I've never been blown away by M390's edge retention. It's good, but it's not like crazy good or anything. So, but yeah, I think it just needs a stropping, will probably be fine. So the action and everything on this guy is fantastic. I don't think I've talked about that. The middle finger flick works really well. You can use your thumb. It's on bearings, obviously. You can do that little guy there if you wanted to. It's drop shut. It's a fantastic knife, guys. It literally could easily be the knife of the year. For the value at $195, for a lot of people, that's an expensive knife, but for what you're getting out of this, it's not. And if you compare, so I put a review up of the Ace Grand, but my footage got all whack, it got all in slow motion for some reason. I don't even know how that happened, so I had to delete that video, and I actually ended up selling the Ace Grand because I kept this, because they're so similar in price point, and I like the size of this better, and it's overall just a better made knife, and overall, if you're looking at these two, the Ace Grand or the F5.5, you should 100% go for this one. The two Vox designs, this is the better, I think, of the two. So, could work good. Works great as a regular EDC knife. It works good could work as good as an outdoor folder if that's your thing. It's just an overall excellent design, and I highly, highly recommend it. All right, guys, thanks for watching this video, and we will see you on the next one.